Welcome to episode 10 of the OneLife podcast,
Welcome
where
back.
we chew the fat about all things business, try to link that to personal life.
Where did that saying come from? Chew the
one?
fat.
Chew the fat.
Tell me about it.
Maybe because fat's hard to chew.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I hope not.
Okay.
It sounds yuck now.
Yeah, okay. I think we'll do some research on that
Yeah.
and come back to you.
Doesn't sound right. We've got a cool topic today. I think this one is really important if you're in business. If you're new to business, it's really important. But it's probably one of those ones that's also, if you have been in business and you're a seasoned business owner or investor, it's still nice to hear what other people have to say and think about how you should be maybe being more patient and thinking long-term while building a business. So we're here to talk about long-term thinking to build better businesses. So the first thing is, I guess, what does you mean? Like long-term, we should define long-term, I think, because it could long for some people. It's like
subjective, right?
Totally.
Could be 2 years, could be 6 months, could be 10 years.
Yeah.
that is
Everyone's
tough.
long is different.
yeah. So long-term, I would say. Actually, what do you have to say about long-term, Alistair?
I reckon it's forever. It's like an infinite game,
Yeah.
right? Business is not about like an end state or whatever. It's a forever journey. And it took me a long time to understand because when I was younger, when I first got into practice, I was like, okay, my goal is to get to partner at 30. That's my goal. I got there, I win, right? I got there at 28, I got so lost.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I meant to do? What am I meant to work for?
Yeah.
Like, I've got to partner level, what's next?
Yeah.
And I was so lost in my thing. I had a lot of time to battle it. And then, but working with you guys sort of like made me think more long term, right? You know, what's the end state of your practice? What's your succession plan? How many clients do you want? What sort of work do you want? You know, which is pretty awesome. It's a journey itself.
That's such a good point because a lot of people build their business up to sell, right? And that's their end goal, to sell it for millions of dollars or whatever it is. And then those people that do sell their businesses and they make some good coin, they're completely lost after that point because they think that that's the end.
Correct.
You know, but to your point, it's beyond your business that you need to probably consider, and people don't.
Do you think we're brainwashed into that thinking?
I think so.
And do you have a thought on why?
No, I think it's maybe an end state that, okay, if I sell my business for millions of dollars, that money that I make is I've made it.
Yeah,
And so it's an end state. That's probably what people think.
yeah, right. I've got a thought on it. So I think it's 65 years retirement age.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
fucking people are brainwashed because they go, that's when I get the pension. That's when I get to retire. And that's almost, it's like a target. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I hate it with a
a
passion.
shocker.
I'm like, so your target is to get to 65 so you can get a $700 payment every 2 weeks. Fuck, why don't we just do that next week? Like let's make it happen. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's just, so 65 to me is long, but I also think a week is really long
Yes.
sometimes because I'm like you goal orientated. So I think someone told me the other day, he was like, what if I turned a day into a week for you? I said, don't fucking do that to me. I just like, you can, all good, but my day has to be a day.
That sounds terrible.
Like my
What
day
does
is
he mean
24
by
hours.
that? Or she?
So he was just like, he's like, think about your week like a day. And I'm like, I don't know. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
I still can't.
I'm
but
like, you
that,
can't divide
he
that by
actually
3.
Yeah. Which I've been
Morning,
thinking about
lunch
it a
and
lot.
evening.
But I'm like, okay, so that's 7 sleeps, 3 meals, that's 21 meals. Like, this is my whole day.
Yes.
Like, I was like, that's interesting. It was a real interesting thought.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm like, nah,
I still don't
that's
understand.
too slow for me. But I think the point is to slow down. And if you think about slowing down, then you can do it in so many different ways. I don't want to slow down, but
Oh, right.
I
Actually.
So do you
think that's
think-
where the thinking comes from.
So do you think that we do not have an end state? We don't have an end time then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, I only just figured it out this last 12 months maybe because
Yes.
I was always chasing a dream, chasing a goal, chasing a goal. Now I'm like, nah, my life is infinite. It's going to go forever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm sweet. I'm happy where I am today, so I'm going to be happy next year. But I was always trying to get to a place, a destination. And fuck, it's changed my life. The destination's gone.
That's the huge,
there isn't
huge
one.
thing for a lot of business owners are goal orientated. And then they put a marker down, a stake in the ground. They say, oh, when I get to that point, then I'll be happy. and then that's the end marker. But in between now and that end marker are like 100 other markers that I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and they're never fulfilled and they're never happy, and they get so obsessed with this finite thing.
Yes.
Like this marker's there, and then once I've done that, tick, and then eventually they're going to run out of markers. And then once they run out of markers, they kind of implode, right? But I think we're here to tell people that long-term means forever. It's infinite. And you said to me this morning, there's no winning in business.
Yeah.
You can't win. Like who are you going to win against?
You can't get to number one and say, cool, my job's done.
Yeah.
Right. Your vision.
Some people are going to hate that, eh?
Yeah.
Are you competitive people must hate that?
No,
There's
because
no winning.
I'm not competitive to be number one.
Yeah, but if you live in an infinite mindset,
Yeah,
like
okay.
Simon Sinek always use, right? There is no competition. There's just other players. There are other
Correct.
players that make
Yeah,
you
right.
uncomfortable because you look up to them,
Yes.
right? Whereas you see them as a competition, you're like, you got this finite mentality where you think there's only a finite amount of revenue around for all of us. I've got to fight and take your one, which is a very toxic mindset for most business owners. And especially in a small city as well, we see a lot of that happening. So people come up to me, oh, don't share my secrets. Why don't you work together?
Yeah.
You know, figure out a thing. I mean,
Collaborate.
we meet with 10 accounting firms or more so every quarter to share our thoughts, share our wins,
Abundance
share our
mentality.
systems. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can all come together and win.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Share the knowledge.
Yeah.
So how do you play the long game?
How do you play the long game? Shoot, I think
You
it's
got to be
a
a
lot
lifers, eh? Exercise every day. Go to the sauna.
Oh, exactly.
Do that.
You
Eat
need,
well.
to, you
Get a
need to be here
nutritionist.
first, don't you?
Yeah, you
To,
need to be
have
here.
the long game.
Yeah.
So, look after your health, look after your family, look after your team. Yeah. But it's a good question. Who wants to go first?
I think you got to break down some of the barriers, right? Like, so if you think about business, and again, I've done a lot of deep thinking about this, and I'm like, why do people think about business every year in a yearly state? Well, someone told you to do that again. IID said, give us a tax return every year. So we start thinking about business every year. And so then when you have then you do a budget every year. And it's like everything's on someone else's clock, not yours. And then you buy into that psyche or mentality and be like, oh shit, what are we going to do next year? Not what are we going to do over the next 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, and who are we going to impact? Like no one thinks like that. And so like now I'm looking at heaps of clients, right? And I'm going, we used to look at it annually. And now I'm looking at 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, because no one wants to look at a year. It's fucking shit. Business is hard.
Too
We're making
short,
losses. Some of them are making losses. So it's like, but we made money last 5 years. We might make losses for the next 3 years. Can we just average that out over 8 years? And then we'll start to feel better about the next 8 years, because you just change the thing of it. Like that's a long game thinking to me. Otherwise, it's like we're gonna make $1 million loss this year. We need to plug the gap. Well, you can't. You just can't plug the gap. So
And
ride the wave.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that question. And I raise it with any new clients that come on board or existing clients. But it's, what is your end game? And a lot of customers have never had anyone ask them that before. And they haven't even considered it, which is mind blowing, right? When you think about it. Surely if you're in business or you're living your life, you've got some sort of end game in play, but what does that look like? So I think just starting to think about what that might look like is a start. So I always ask that question. I love it.
It was interesting. We got back a new client form this morning. Was it this morning, yesterday? And the answer to that question, the person wrote, to not have to worry about taxes. And I was thinking,
There's only two things in life, right?
yeah, death and taxes.
That are certain.
Yeah, and so I thought, no, I've really got to ring this person and just have a discussion around educating
Well,
them
you've
around
already
the
solved
end
that,
game.
right? You sold them a tax plan and they're sorted. They don't have to worry about taxes anymore. If that's your end game, you're done.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
big
just
loss.
saying that I think it's a pretty
But that's the solution.
pretty small.
But that's what I mean by
goal.
that question, though, because it's like it gets people to think, and it doesn't really matter what the answer is. At least they've thought about the question.
Yeah.
We're actually being quite contradictory here. If you think, we're just using the word end game, and we're saying that business is infinite. So maybe there is no end game. Maybe we're
Is death.
maybe
well,
we're
I don't-
wrong.
Nothing. This is. Oh, fuck.
No, we're not. Actually, not, because business is infinite, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Not for
have a
you anyway.
choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have a choice. There's so many ways you can play this game. You can do a short game where you flick business off every 2 years or 3 years. You can do a big sell or merger to, buy out and do something else. But if you run the long game, it's at a much lower cost of your people and culture and pain points, right?
Yeah.
You can do a short game. We can do a short game accounting firm right now,
Yeah.
but our staff will be burnt out. They'll be working long hours. There'll be no culture.
No one
There's
will
no
like
vision.
you.
There's no vision for the whole team. There's no trust.
Yeah, and then when you exit in 3 years, all the clients will leave.
Correct. And all your staff retention will be so low. Everyone just leaves every 2-3 months.
But there are people that love to do that.
Correct. And there's no right or wrong. If they want to make shit tons of money and make $1 million every year and don't give a shit about people's well-being, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like startup software companies that connect into Xero. Their end game is a lot of the time sell to Xero, and have it part of the ecosystem, so they've got an end in mind and they do that from day one. It's a pretty good strategy for some.
I think you should just, end game to me is like, what is your strategy?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
could change
for me, it's like, how do you want to live your life? That's how when I think about what's my end game, I'm like, how do I want to live my life? And then I'm kind of working back between how do I want to live my life then and how am I living my life now, and then work towards bridging the gap.
Just change the question. We're two pronged. What does end game mean to you? And then what is your end game?
That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's very
Jess, if you're listening, can you
Just
update
update
the
like, as in,
title?
we were talking about different.
good.
Everyone's got a different definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hear end game, I'm like dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think for me, it's you think about businesses today, and we're going through some tough economic times, right, at the minute, and people get caught in the day to day because things are a little bit harder. So I call it being caught in the weeds, and we've used that term before, and it's just like for them to sort of come above the clouds a little bit and have a look at the future and be a little bit more positive about it. And we talk about being glass half full all the time, us guys, but I think during these times where things are a little bit harder, sometimes it is good to look forward and past this because it will change.
yeah.
And we're talking about best practice here and what we see from. So we have the benefit of seeing lots of businesses, and we know how when we talk about good businesses, we talk about how happy the people are, how happy the owners are, how much time they have, how much money they make. It's not just how much money they make; it's everything. And so playing the long game, like Niren said, is going beyond a year and maybe not even worrying about a year or any time frame. It's like, how do I do what I want, when I want, how I want with this business, and then just running towards that. So I think to do that, you have to come up with some sort of like strategy that's say 5 years or 10 years, or, you have to do annual business planning, but maybe you should be doing an annual workshop and updating your 5-year plan. And next to it should be your 5-year like family plan. Like, where's my family going to be in 5 years?
Correct.
How's this going to work?
Yeah, it's all connected. We're OneLife podcast here, right?
I think isn't that the purpose of small business? It is all interconnected. Like if you're going to go to a mid-tier, maybe it's not. It's different. Like corporates are different, right? So
Yes.
They have to go together.
Yes.
They have to go
Like,
together.
It doesn't
100%.
because that would dictate how much you need to, and I think that's where people put a lot of pressure on their businesses because of their personal life has got all the pressure. Upgrade the house, get the bug, fucking get the car, and it's like, oh shit, we need to make 2 million, 200 grand this year. It's like, why? Oh, because I need to pay that mortgage and pay the boat and pay the car. It's all on tick.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
But the business would be fine if you didn't. You wouldn't need all of that
If you didn't even
have
buy
all
that stuff in the
So,
first
like,
place, yeah.
It's like someone's explained it to me. It's like people are buying things on tick. What are they doing? They're just borrowing from their future.
Yeah. From their
So it's
future
like,
self.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
you make rash decisions, right? Imagine saying,
Yeah.
I've got $500,000 debt on all my toys. I got to pay that off. So your goal, instead of to grow your business in the next 2-3 years, is I got to pay that off. So you cut costs, you make your team work extra hard, you put some pressure on them, and you're going to make some silly decisions as a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally.
It's the most frustrating thing for me is that we put these strategic plans in play for some of our clients, but they don't even consider their personal life. That's a real frustration for me, and it should be part and parcel, and include your wife, your partner, your husband as well. Because they're a part of this journey with you for the next 5 to 10 years or whatever the time frame might be for your strategic plan.
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer. You need to include all of your personal goals and ambitions into your business as well. I don't know. Is that controversial? What do you guys think?
No, it's not. I've got a husband-wife client. I've got a few of them. And this particular husband and wife, they have a home office. and there's one desk in it, and they weren't arguing, but they were talking about like, oh, he's the creative and she's the finance, right? So like splitting roles and stuff. But I was like, everything you just spoke about was creative, and everything you just spoke about was money. I was like, so who uses the desk the most? It's like, oh, like no one really uses it. I was like, do you have room for another desk? And can you put it in there? And they were like, yeah. We just got to get rid of some of the shit. And I was like, okay, cool. Your job this weekend is to get rid of some of the shit. Get another desk. And so I've got them to put the desks on opposite walls, and they both have to have like a corkboard or a whiteboard, and they have to like put up their creative stuff. Because they're making assumptions about each other, that that's the creative person and that only that person's allowed to be creative. And you're the numbers person and only you're allowed to deal with the numbers. But really they want to play on both sides. And so
Are you a counsellor now?
So where are you going with this?
But, like,
Can you get to the chase?
yeah, it was just weird to me that they were like not doing what they wanted. So I was just thinking, like, long term here, you clearly want to be creative. Just fucking start now. Like, why are you waiting till that person's done being creative? Start now.
Yeah. That's a communication thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of like business, there are things you can do. Like when we work with business owners, we do things like set up a structure, right? Now, when we set up a structure, one of the things that I try and teach people about is the structure doesn't exist to just protect assets or tax minimization. It's there for mindset. That, okay, a structure is now set for the long term. You're not going to maybe use all of the different things right now, but now you've got a mindset to say, I'm going to use that later, and that's the vehicle of how it's going to work. So we talked a lot about mindset just now. What other areas do you think people or tools people can use to get in the right mindset to think much longer rather than constantly thinking short term?
Why are you looking at me? Turn off the fucking media. That would be my first thing. No news, no Herald, no Facebook if you can't siphon it out, because don't buy into the system. That's where I'm trying to go with that. Like, you're buying into annuals or 65, like all these things are put in your head. Like, that's short-term stuff, you know? So like, make your own rules and then think longer for your family. And like, I mean, I used to say I was going to die at 67, who cares? Like, just go hard, you know? But now I'm like, nah, change your goal. I'm going to go to 100. It's a mindset. Like, if I make it to 100, great. But like, that is my mindset. So, you know, at 37, there's still 63. Is that right? Yeah. 63 years to go. Like, that's only a third, you know? But if I was going to die at 70,
you're halfway.
I'm halfway. So completely change my thinking, you know? And shit will happen in between, probably cancer, which is shit. But
let's not bring the conversation down.
okay, sorry. I hate cancer, by the way. Where was I going with that?
Don't know. You distracted me with cancer.
Cut the media.
Yeah,
my first thing.
Yeah.
Don't let them tell
I
you
think one of your strengths is futuristic. Is that one of your top 5?
Yeah, number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah. So futuristic for you means, shoot, you're really looking forward, you know, into the future. Now it's to 100, so I'm glad that you've changed that, mate. But I think for all of us, we need to have like use that strength and just see what the future looks like. And for me, it's probably relationship building, because I'm a real people person, and no one's the same. But for me, it's surrounding yourself with the right people, you know, and thinking about that as you strategically plan both for your business and for personal.
Imagine spending 10 years or 20 years with a group of people that you didn't enjoy spending your time with.
Oh, you'd just be miserable, wouldn't you?
Because you had a goal to make X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
That would be so shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what causes corporate burnout, right? The money is there, but people just suddenly quit.
Yeah.
Because they've done it for 10, 20 years and doesn't fulfill a gap in their life. It's quite sad,
Yeah.
but good for them, you know, for making the step.
Yeah. It is tough to make a decision that's not popular with the common way of doing things. But that's what we're here to... Some of this podcast is to give people permission, because people are always asking other people for permission. But Is that giving people the permission to do something differently?
You've only got one life, so you need to do everything that you can to make the most of that. And that's surrounding yourself with the people that you get the most enjoyment out of. That's my view.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And stay aligned. Like, I mean, we spend a lot of effort staying aligned to our goals and what we need, and doing, leadership tests and Gallup testings and all that stuff.
Yes.
Strengths Find is one of them that you mentioned. That's really good. Finding out what each of our strengths are, how to align that to each other. Yeah.
But it's embracing the differences in people as well. I love that, also. So it's like, we're not all the same. If we're all the same, we'd be robots and it would be bloody boring, but we're all different, and embracing the differences is amazing.
Totally.
Let's talk about money or cash or bank and playing the long game. So lots of people we know, when we see they strip money out of the bank account, and then like Naren said, they're always working towards, I need this much money this year or this week or this month. How can people play the long game with money?
Just play the long game with money would be my advice. If I look back and I went to a party, 24-year-old party, fucking was very angry in the first 5 minutes, like watching all these drunk people. I was like, fuck am I doing here? And then I was like, actually, I was pretty bad too. So let that go. And then I was like, if I could just sit down, and then my mind went somewhere else. And I was like, if I could talk to every single 24-year-old in this room and just give me 10 minutes, and if I told them what to do, and if they actually did it by the time they're at my age at 37, I think they'll be sorted. Like, in fact, I know they'll be sorted, because it's just a long game. It's all about time. Invest your money, invest your energy, time. Like, get pissed, I don't care. Like, go hard in your 20s, but just do the sensible investing stuff. Like, just, I think like that would be an absolute game changer. So the stuff that we should have been taught at school, not been taught. And I just had that realization. I was like, man, I wish someone told me at 24.
Yeah,
some of the things that
for me, I'm super proud with some of the platforms that are out there right now, because when we were younger, we never had the girls that invest, is it the Curve? Those, and Candice, like she watches those, and she's getting educated in investing and what to do, which is amazing. It's
game changer.
It really is good. So I think there's no excuses anymore, I suppose is my point. There's so much education out there that you can teach yourself to actually be smarter with your future and your money.
Yeah. It's the simple things for me, the basics, like people having a rainy day fund in business. Not many people I know, and not many of my clients have a rainy day fund. It's because we are in tough times and all of that. Yeah, I get it. But if you always had a rainy day fund, always, and it was non-negotiable, that now when we're in harder times, you could have dipped into the rainy day fund. And again, it's the long game. It's like $100 a week, $100 a week forever, or $200 a week forever. And then you just, each year as inflation goes up, you just increase it. We talk about rainy day funds personally, but businesses need rainy day funds.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because it doesn't need to be cash. It could have been, I think I said it in episode 1 or 2.
Yeah, it was episode 1 that we
it's
talked
the
about.
overdraft, when I told you to get the overdraft, when the banks were giving you money, like just have it in play. You don't use the bloody thing, because now you need it, you can't get it.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't have to be physical cash in business.
Yeah.
Like you just got to be sensible.
It's all about managing risk, right? Business is all about risk. It is risky to go into it, but you can manage it really well as an owner. For example, overdraft is a good risk prevention for lack of cash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And, even things like you can't rely on one employee to run your whole business. That's not de-risking it. You got to have systems and process and, SOPs in place. So if someone, touch wood not, get hit by a bus, your business continually still goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a massive curve, right? You go up and down all the time. And how much you can induce risk if you want to, be a dumbass and piss people off, and your risk will be high of retention and all these things. But you can also manage it really well as an owner too. So you got to
risk mitigation is a good one actually, to play the long game, because if you're playing a short game, probably the risk is a little bit higher. But also if you're trying to play the long game, never looking at risk, somebody's going to get you, or something's going to get you eventually. So you actually need to monitor the risks and probably do some sort of risk assessment and be like, in my area or expertise of my business, where does the risk sit? And what can I do as an individual? And what can my team do to minimize those risks over time?
Yeah.
And just understanding that other people's risks are not your risks.
Yeah.
Right. Like for a construction company, health and safety, obvious. Yes. But I had a meeting with a client yesterday. He turned down a $2.5 million job because their turnover is about 7 to 8 million. So he said turned down the $2.5 million job because the person that was going to subcontract it, he got a bad vibe, and then it was just far too big a project. He's like, I could kill this 30-year-old company just by taking this project and this project dying, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
So that's good on him. He's managing his risk really well. Right? Yeah.
So he didn't do it.
Yeah.
But also coming back to OneLife, you're thinking about mitigating your risks within your business that you operate, but protecting your family as well is important. So insurances come into play. If you went there, if you went there to help your family achieve their goals, what would happen? So insurance is a big one for me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So we have key people. So if people don't know, there's insurance called key person insurance. If you think about, this is a really easy thing to do for business owners. Think about who is a key person in your business, right? Other than yourself. Include yourself on the list, but who are the key people in your business, top to bottom? Go out to your insurer and ask how much it is to get key person insurance for those people. So we have key person insurance for us. We have key person insurance for our people. Not everybody, but key people.
Yes.
Which mitigates the risk that you're talking about. If someone gets hit by a bus, we know that tomorrow the money turns up in the bank and we can go and hire somebody or a contractor to fill that role straight away.
Correct.
I think it costs us $33 a month.
I think the point to make is got to be a critical role, not just a person.
Correct.
So you can replace the person because you got the right things in place, but you're replacing. Yeah, it's the role you're insuring.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a big cog.
You have to insure the person in the role.
Yes.
But it's the role that you need, not the person.
Yes.
Yep. That's
in
right.
the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
But don't go and insure your whole team is where I was going with that.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that. Yeah. It's different to life insurance, right? We're not talking about life insurance here. We're talking about if that person can't work in your business, then you've got money coming in to replace them. In the short term, they might come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
For
also
sure.
look at life insurance.
But also
what I'm
look at
saying,
life-
to protect your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Insurance is a good one. Didn't think about that.
I wonder, lots of people don't have it. You know?
Yeah, they have the bare minimum of what the landlord wants them to have, really.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
life
interesting. What about insurance is polarizing? It is
Yeah.
across people.
It's expensive now.
It can be expensive,
It's
especially at
crazy.
my age.
Yeah.
But even health insurance, how many people have health insurance? So I think it is polarizing, but especially when you have young families, it becomes even more important for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm advocating for insurance here, but like it's important for if you want insurance to get it as early as possible, because you have exclusions, all that sort of stuff. So we just had a baby, number 2, and I emailed them, the insurance broker, and I said, look, don't have a full name yet, but surely you can log her. Like, can you get the added to my Southern Cross, please? He's like, sweet, no problem, done. I'm like, do you want a name? He's like, don't need one. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like when I've got a name, he just adds it.
Increased conversion rate, right? We'll talk about.
That was in the last episode.
How to grow your business.
ever done the numbers on insurance?
Yeah, I
Premiums?
have. I have.
Did you run the risk?
But I
on
don't
it?
think I would ever run the risk on
Yeah.
medical
It's not
because, I mean, we're going completely off topic here, but this is playing the long game here, right?
Well, of course.
So
You're
I-
protecting your business in the long run and yourself personally. So I think
Yeah.
it's relevant.
I think people who don't have health insurance don't get tests done. And I feel like that's playing the short game because you're like, oh, I'm not going to go get that test done, that specialist test, because it's $250 or $600 or $900. And so you don't get it done. And then it can turn into something sinister. So I think playing the long game, insurance, is definitely one of those things. So yeah, I've done the numbers, and I know it doesn't make sense on some things like life insurance and etc. But for me, medical insurance is an absolute must. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to people. So we talked about money. Let's go to people, and I think people, like business owners, treat people as a resource. Like, the HR stands for human resource. And so let's just have a discussion around how we can help people to think more human. Not, let's just drop the word resource. Like we use words like talent or human, and how do we? Let's have a discussion to help people help their people play the long game more,
Yes.
or how to have a better understanding of how to get their key people their long term.
I always hear corporates say, oh, how do you get more out of this staff? How do you get more out of this person? But a person's not a tower you can just ring and, squeeze more out of, right?
Yeah.
It's a very different mindset. How do you grow them? How do you actually nurture them and understand their strengths and values and get their values to align to you as well as a leader so they can trust you? So during COVID, a lot of people go through these tough times, and sometimes as a leader, you just got to say, okay, everyone shut up, just follow me, okay? But if the trust is not there, they will not follow you as a leader. So I think it takes a lot of effort and time to build that. And I think we put a lot of effort into our team as well, doing Strengths Finder, doing social clubs, knowing about their personal lives and full transparency as well. If you're going through a tough time at home, tell us so we can understand and pull some levers at work to help that. So yeah, I think people is a massive thing, Don't underlook it.
I'm going to bring up my favorite word again, Do you guys know what it is?
Vulnerability.
Yeah. Being vulnerable, So I think, we encourage that not only with a management group and us, but the entire team. And the amount of respect that I give to people that are vulnerable, because I know it's hard to be, is amazing. But they just, if they're letting something go, they just grow as a person, is my belief. So, that's a big word for me. But another one for our people, or people of business owners, is just continually learning, I think, and being just have access to actually improving yourself every single day, I think is important. And we encourage that across our team, and I think more people should be doing that.
Do you mean in the sense of managing people or leading people, or do you mean in general?
All of the above,
Right.
Just in general. But if you're in a leadership role, just really challenge yourself to continue to learn as well, I think is important. But just being open and just having your eyes open to what's out there and learning more.
Yeah, so I agree with all that, and I like your vulnerability thing because it goes in line with what I'm about to say. But we as business owners, and most of the people listening are probably business owners, it's always on us. So we're always thinking about loyalty, and we value loyalty, tenure, all that sort of stuff. What do we do as leaders? I want to challenge the employees to come back the other way, because we get jack shit, not like as on BetterCo, people give jack shit back. And it's what's really hard is you're an employee mindset, we're in a different mindset. We've got to meet in the middle somehow to play the long game together.
Yes.
So it's always us. Otherwise, it's just one side giving all the time. Like, you need to, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You're going to do your job. It's like, it's not that fun. What if you told me what you wanted?
So how do you turn that around then?
I think it's just exactly that just telling people bluntly that, like, this is a two-way street.
It's
If we're going to play
it's
together
very hard.
in the same playground,
Yeah.
what are the rules that we both want to play by? And what game are we actually playing?
Yeah,
Well, I think that you just put a framework around your vulnerability, right? So
Yes.
you keep saying the word, but it's like actually what we're asking is, if you don't want to be vulnerable, it's all good, just tell us some shit. Like, tell us something so we can create a business or an organization. I'm talking about all businesses here, not just ours, right?
Yes.
That we can create something in our culture, in the way we choose our office, location, whatever, if we know what you want. But
Yeah.
it's really hard, like I
it's
feel like
really-
leaders always giving,
but I think it's hard to break down that, us and them a little bit. It is hard to
But
break
it takes a
that
long time.
down.
I mean, culture takes a long time to build. You don't just show up to work and be like, look, tell me all your personal problems, I'm going to fix it. It doesn't happen that way. Trust has to be built. It has to be like, oh, by the way, Naren, do you want to go for coffee next week? I've got something I want to tell you. And it's earned through that way in the short interactions of face to face. That's why I believe in people should be in the office at some times to get that interaction once in a while. It's like, oh man, I heard your daughter was sick. Is she okay? That's how you earn trust, and that's how you connect with people in a long scale. And that's how you build the long game, right?
100%.
If everyone just works in their little, home office forever and never meet anyone, you lose that human touch.
There's not enough connection point.
Correct.
You're not connecting enough to have a short conversation that can turn into like a short water cooler conversation that can turn into a meeting that then turns into a strategy session that turns into a workshop that turns into a
long-lasting relationship.
A long-lasting relationship. Yeah.
It's amazing what can happen from those short conversations.
Yeah, I hear a lot of my
I
mates
agree.
saying like, oh, this bloody company is just forcing me to go back to work. I don't need to be there. But yes, you don't need to be there, but it's beneficial for you and the team, and you can grow together as a team.
Yeah.
So you got to see a long term, but culture has to be there. You know, like
Yeah.
if it's a toxic workplace, you don't want to be there already. No one wants to. Then someone's got to fix it, and it has to come from the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, corporate get it wrong because they know that, but then they have no compassion.
Well, I think it's too hard to control. I mean, you're managing like thousands or hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easier
It's
to
layers
manage,
and layers.
25 of us. That's pretty easy. And there's way too many layers, and it's really sometimes not their fault,
Yeah.
but
True.
it can be done something.
True.
You know?
It
Can be
was
Yeah,
that.
remember the manager in the bigger organization is just a person who's got no real incentive other than a salary
Yeah.
and his strengths or her strengths to make sure that they're fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
So
It was funny that
totally
that,
different.
that meme with Zoom. Zoom sent an announcement out to all their staff, and they wanted everybody back in office after COVID, and it was Zoom.
Contradicting.
But that's that whole being human, and we talk about it with our team a lot. With AI with us now. Let's be honest, it's not coming; it's with us. But to be human and to hold conversations with your fellow people is so important.
Yes.
And you'll be far more valuable as a person for the future of your business if you are that person and you can hold conversation. That's my view.
So if you're going to buy a business, would you put a value on how long your team has been there, like the tenure, the average tenure?
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
It's good,
Just for
it's a
just
good
for
reason
loyalty.
to do it for your numbers people to be like, if I was selling my business, I'd be like, these people have been here for 7 years, like on average, whatever, and there's 30 of them and they're really happy and engaged and blah, blah, blah. Like you'd pay money for that.
Yeah.
totally.
Like never,
That's where brokers
put that in an
are
IM document
good.
or something, like sell it.
Brokers do always put the staff tenure in
You
there
need
if it's
to, yeah.
long. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, oh, it's a massive positive for that business.
It tells a lot about the business,
Yeah.
and the owners and the leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good discussion about people, money, all different things. Now, can we go to? I mean, we talked about risk as well, actually, and mitigating risk. Can we go to something a little more businessy, and talk about some businesses that you feel that are playing the long game that other people can or people or other businesses that you feel are playing the long game and what they're doing that's right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the giants out there play it right, like Amazon, right? Their ethos is to deliver the best price to consumers. There is no final best price. The best price is free, right? So, to be honest. So, like, if you think about it, in 1,000 years' time, Amazon will still keeping to that ethos, right? Delivering the best price, the best experience to the people and to the consumers as well. Whereas if you say, hey, I want to be the cheapest, yes, you can be the cheapest, but what happens
There's a
next?
road to the bottom.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
There's no number one or there's no best in this sort of long game, I think.
I think that you're not going to like this, but I think the people that play the best long game are the corporates.
Yeah.
Like they've built all these strategies around their people and how to keep them. And so I think small business should look at that and go, what are they doing that I should be doing on a smaller scale, obviously. Like something of extreme that I've seen in a small business is quite extreme to be like, have baby go and leave and I'll pay your salary for the next year. Like, fuck, the small business will go broke, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
sustain that. But a lot of
The banks can
corporates
do
are going,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
go have baby, no worries, come back. And then stay for another 5 years and come back and have another baby. Like, there's something in that where you can take and go and put it into your small business. You don't have to do the whole thing, but I think corporates have nailed it on some of those things.
Yeah,
That's
you're
my
right.
opinion on.
Mm.
So I always look, okay, if a small business got to do something, I always look at the big guys and go, what are they doing and how do I do it? And do it.
I was
Better,
having a
to some
discussion the
extent.
other day with somebody, and I told them how this other business I know has a 100-year plan, and they were like, 100 years, what the fuck's that person on? And I was like, oh, I was trying to say they were doing a good thing. Like,
That's mindset though, isn't it?
It's,
Yeah, correct.
And
Yeah.
100 years.
that's the true long game.
yeah.
Like that's someone.
Well, 100, like, not a lot of people live to 100, and if you've started a business, you're probably, almost definitely not going to be there after it gets to 100 years.
How do you even write that plan?
I don't know, but people
Yeah,
have
that's
a 100-year
crazy.
plan, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's, again, like a vision thing, not in a mindset thing, more than like in 100 years, we'll have 3,000 employees. Like, not sure it's that.
It's a nice goal for the employees to be on board as well, the
Yep.
same boat. Otherwise, everyone's just lost. Everyone's just here to make money,
Yeah.
It's a nice vision to have in place. It comes down to your core values and vision too for business. A lot of business owners I know don't have that, which we actually try to fish out of them and try to do workshops to refine it for them as well.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple. So, you know, we talk about long-term thinking, but I also think that the most successful firms looking forward to the future reflect well. You know, so they reflect well on what they have done and they celebrate their wins as well. I think that's really important for the future because it shows your people and your team that you are successful and that can continue into the future. The other one is analysis, you know, like that they're looking at things on a regular basis and in their future planning, they've got forecasting and all of that sort of stuff, but they're analysing their numbers and non-numbers all of the time. Yeah.
With metrics that obviously fit their business.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And industries and all of that. But I'm a big fan of reflection and celebrating those wins for sure.
Yeah.
And the milestones. You know, if you've been in business for a period of time and celebrating those milestones, if your people have been with you for a period of time, celebrating those as well, you know.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day that was saying that they're like quite ambitious, and I was telling them how, you know, ambition is subjective. And then I was like, so do you have like lots of goals or one goal? And he was like, oh, probably like a few. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what do you do when you hit them? He's like, oh, I never do. And I was like, why? He's like, oh, because I always move the goalposts.
Right.
And I was like, oh, no. Don't do that. I was like, if you're ambitious and goal driven, and if you are, the rule number one is don't move the goalposts. Like if you're 90% there, get to 100, and then once you get to 100 and you do it, then also celebrate success.
Totally.
Right, because otherwise you're just constantly chasing this thing.
Yeah.
That never ever gratifying.
Yeah. That would be frustrating for me.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, but I get bored." And I'm like, "Dude, I just gave you a gold nugget. Like, can you thank that?" Okay, so we've talked about risk mitigation, insurance, money, people, all that sort of stuff. I did a little bit of research on how to play the long game, and what is impacting people currently in the world of not playing the long game. And it's the inability to be patient or practice patience, because we have everything at our fingertips and we don't read enough. And if we do read, it's on a Kindle and all that sort of stuff. Everything is like snaps, like right there. So I mean, the four people in this room are very busy people and somehow have seemed, in my eyes, to be living slower or being more patient in the last couple of years. And we're all very impatient people. Like me for sure. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you that we are definitely more patient. So let's give some tips to people how to be more patient.
Live slower. Yeah, I think you got to have a goal in mind. Like I say, don't set a goalpost so secure, like I want to be partnered by that. I want to make $1 million by 35 or 40. These kind of goals, it's good as a guidance, right, to the North Star, but that shouldn't be a North Star, right? So for me, it's to have a balanced lifestyle where I can give back to my family and spend as much time as I can, but also growing my team members and being one of the best accounting firms in the country. Yeah, one of the best, not the best.
Yeah, I think it's setting the longer term goal for me, and then I just break them down. So it's always been a long term goal. So I've always set it, looked out to the future. Funny that. But yeah, so it's always been like a grand. Well, like for me, it's like always been a lifestyle thing as well, right? It's like, how do I hang out with my kids? How do I hang out with my wife? How do I hang out with my friends and family? The sucky part is most of my friends are in employment, so I don't get to see them when I want to see them. But you know, then it takes it away from your weekend. But that's okay. And then just break them down. Like so, then annually look at the thing. But patience is. I think we've become more patient just because of the way the economy is at the moment. Like we've had no bloody choice to some extent. Well, at least I haven't, because you know, before I've been in my house for 3 years, and it's the longest I've ever been in one property since ownership, which is because I can't get a loan and I can't move to another house. But also I'm happy with what I have. So I don't know. The economy's probably put a bit of pressure on people in general. So I think I'm going to take the learnings from this and then apply it into my forever life.
I think that's key. That's key.
That's
like
key,
your mindset.
yeah. Because you said earlier how people put pressure on their business because they spend more personally.
Yeah.
So you were patient personally, which means now you don't you can actually easily practice patience inside the business
Yeah.
because the pressure's not there.
But even
Yeah,
on a
but I
mindset
wasn't
level-
talking about upgrading my house. It was just like I would just normally move, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, for whatever reason.
Right.
So it doesn't mean I'm going to have more debt, but
Yeah, but even on a mindset level, right? The word that you say is, I've learned from that. You know,
yeah, take
I
that
want to
into my
take that
future.
into the future.
Totally.
I think that's key, man. If you're a business owner, you gotta have this growth mindset. You can't just have a fix like, okay, I failed. That's it, right? I did a bad thing, done, right? Whereas you make mistakes, that's okay to make mistakes, but you learn from that. You keep getting better and better and better. Yeah, it's like I recently got into running, right? Just obsessed about it. I used to hate it. I
Mate,
used to
you're
hate
into it. I love it.
Oh man,
So
but
good.
I always tell myself, if I can turn something I hate into something I love, I can do anything in the world, right? So I do love it now, and I can do anything I want in the world.
Do you really love it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I'm
amazing.
thinking about. I'm injured
So
right now. I
I
can't
was
run for a
too.
week.
Like, how can you not love running?
I'm depressed because I can't run for a week. That's how much I like it.
That's
Yeah.
Fuck, you're in a spiral now. Fuck yeah. Once you get
But
injured,
it's
then
very
you live.
similar. I think running is very similar to running a business, right?
There's no end.
Yeah, there's no end. Like you can't be the fastest runner. Well, you can be, but you can always be
For
on
now.
time. Correct.
Someone's always going to beat you.
Correct. You can get better shoes, you can get better gear, you can train better, but you can always be faster than you were last year.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. I used to play badminton a lot, but it's very finite. You know, you have a, mid-session, then you have a finish the sport. You have 1 set and 2 set, then you got to hit to 21 points, and that's it. You win. That's all.
Yeah.
Whereas running, it's like, okay, you're on your own journey, right? You make mistakes, you get injured, but you learn from it, and you get faster each time and apply it
Yeah.
1% better each time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running's a great analogy to business.
Run forever.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me started. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, learning from a guru, mate. He's the
Yeah,
fastest in our business.
I think for me, like the patience thing, I've never known myself as a patient guy. I really haven't. So I'm actually quite surprised that you've mentioned it across all of us. But I think what it comes down to over the last 3 or 4 years with BetterCo is that OneLife mantra that we live by. And that's probably made me a whole lot more patient because I've been thinking about my family, my health, fitness, all of that sort of stuff as part of a whole. But even more than that, within BetterCo, seeing the team grow and actually delivering a whole lot more and growing themselves within BetterCo has been great for me and probably given me a little bit more time as well. And by having more time, you become more patient for me.
Yeah.
So that's been an amazing journey over the last 3 to 4 for me. Yeah. But continually being healthy and fit. When you guys get to my age, you'll understand that you need to keep working at it, on a regular basis. But that just gives you such a better mindset, really, when you go every day into work.
This is another great segue that you've given me.
Oh, mate.
To wrap up on how to play the long game, so I've taken notes here. You guys can butt in whenever because there's quite a few here. Segue what JK just said is step number 1 is to stay healthy. Second thing is it's a mindset, and not just a basic mindset, but it's a mindset of growth and continuous learning, especially if you're in a leadership position. Thirdly, have people around you that you enjoy for a long time. And if you don't, purge nicely.
Just get the fuck out. Who cares?
Practice patience, and that is about a balanced lifestyle. And if you're ambitious and goal-driven like most business owners are, don't move the goalposts. Risk mitigation, so things like insurance and not putting at risk something that you already have. That's really, really good. Like taking on a too big a job or something too risky or grow your people who have values that align to yours. So inside your organization, that buys you more trust, buys you more time, and it gives you more confidence to play the long game as opposed to the short game.
Yeah, like Richard Branson say, look after your people and they'll look after your customers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people first and customers second. Customers still important,
Yeah,
but not as important as your own people.
yeah, very important. And then lastly, reflect and celebrate your wins. So I think without reflection, you can't have any analysis, and then you're not going to be able to feel good about anything, and then you're not necessarily going to celebrate your wins. So if you're going to reflect, do some decent analysis, and then constantly improve on it and celebrate the wins with the people around you, and just do everything slower and for longer, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, don't make a decision for today, make a decision for your future. Obviously, that's impacts today, but for future, that would be really helpful.
Awesome.
Anything to
Stay,
add?
stay positive, I think.
Yeah.
Stay positive.
In this environment, you need to stay positive and we said at the start of being stuck in the weeds, try and come out of those weeds and look to the future.
100%.
I think we killed it. Nothing else to add for me.
Cool.
Awesome.
Easy.
That's a wrap.
Good
Thank
stuff,
you.
guys.
Good work.
Sweet.